All right, Deshaun Watson gets a clean bill of health as it relates to the criminal justice system on Friday. 9 criminal complaints, 0 indictments. That opened the floodgates over the weekend, Mike, of reporting, and it was breathless, and it was nonstop. This team's interested, that team's interested, that team's interested, None of it matters until we know who he's interested in, because he has the hammer of a no-trade clause. I think the Texans and Deshaun Watson were stoking the fire as much as they could to get as many teams out of the woodwork to draw out anybody who may be reluctant, thinking it's going to be a PR nightmare. Well, wait a minute. If 20 teams are interested in the guy, how can it be a PR nightmare? So I think they wanted to get that out into the open. And now Watson reportedly will be meeting with the Panthers and the Saints over the next 48 hours. I got some thoughts about the next 48 hours because he's going to be questioned under oath in the civil cases filed against him tomorrow. I think that should be his main focus because he's never been through what he's going to go through tomorrow when he's questioned under oath aggressively by attorney Tony Busby. I'd focus only on that for now. But time is of the essence. He needs to find his next NFL home, and he's wisely doing his due diligence. His teams do their due diligence on him, Mike.
Yeah, so, I mean, first and foremost, we'll find out what owners, because for a player like this and what he's going through, the only thing a GM and a president can do is look up to the owner and say, do we pursue this or do we not? And I'm sure there's more than a few teams that have said nope, that an owner said nope, don't pursue it at all. And some, like we're talking about Carolina and the Saints, that are involved. And Deshaun Watson has that rare no-trade clause, so he can literally pick the team he wants, or at least try to as best he can of where he wants to go. Again, it all starts with owners saying go ahead and find out what this is about. Then it's going to be what's it going to take to get him? What kind of assets do we have to give up? And Mike, you can answer me this question better than I can. And the legal part to this, man, when it was flying around Twitter, I did what I would normally do when something legal is happening. I stayed the hell out of it because I don't know enough about it to start to comment about that situation. But the one thing I did read, you correct me if I'm wrong, so a guy like Ben Roethlisberger and Zeke Elliott did not have criminal charges brought on them. Nothing happened with them, and they were still, I believe, suspended 6 games each. So what is the potential? Do you still think the potential is there? I got to believe it is, that Deshaun Watson will be suspended by the league, and what kind of games could we be looking at?
Well, and you're right, Ezekiel Elliott wasn't even sued, and he was suspended 6 games. The difference there was that the NFL spoke extensively with the alleged victim of the domestic violence, repeatedly interviewed her, believed her. That's what resulted in Ezekiel Elliott being suspended. I don't know whether or not the NFL believes, doesn't believe the people who are making these accusations against Deshaun Watson. Maybe they believe some, they don't believe others. I think for some the challenge is, okay, this is what you say he did. Where's the crime? Where's the civil obligation to compensate you? Where is the thing that happened to cross the line? I think that's why he ultimately wasn't indicted on any charges. Whatever the allegations were, didn't rise to the level of a crime. However, with Ben Roethlisberger, 2010, 6-game suspension reduced to 4. He was never charged. He was never arrested. He had a civil action pending in an unrelated matter alleging rape in Nevada that had been filed a year earlier. The league suspended him without regard to what happened with that civil action. I think what the league will do, and I don't know this, but I'm reading the tea leaves here, and I think the league has learned some valuable lessons, Mike, and one of the lessons learned is don't do anything until you absolutely positively have to. Mm-hmm. And I think in this case, and I picked that up from the league trying to figure out last year they're going to put him on paid leave. How do you not put him on paid leave? 22 civil lawsuits, 9 criminal complaints. How do you not put him on paid leave? They didn't because they didn't have to. Because the Texans weren't trying to put him on the field. And nobody ultimately traded for him. So we don't have to do anything if we're the NFL. So that's an example of the league learning, don't act until you have to. And I say all that because I think maybe what the league will do here is say there's still 22 civil lawsuits pending. We're not going to do anything until those lawsuits are resolved. If he settles them, we go down one path. If he loses at trial on any or some or all of them, we go down another path. If he wins, look at it this way, Mike. If he ultimately is never charged with a crime based on 9 criminal complaints, and if he ultimately has 22 civil verdicts go his way, What can you do? How do you punish him at all? That would be the argument if I was representing Deshaun Watson. He's been fully exonerated of everything he's been alleged to have done. How can you punish him at all for any of this? So I think the league may say we're taking no action pending the outcome of the 22 civil cases. So
along those lines then, and because the wheels can turn slow at times, if these civil cases, 22 of them, aren't resolved by the start of the season, do you think wherever Deshaun Watson ends up in a trade, and I think we both believe it's going to happen, that do you believe he will be allowed to go on the field if all these have not been decided yet?
If they haven't been decided and the league decides not to suspend him until after those cases are resolved, I think they'll let him play. I think they will let him play pending resolution of the civil cases. And if he settles, he may be walking right into a suspension. There was a sense last year that if because what the Dolphins wanted, because both the Dolphins and the Panthers wanted him last year. The Panthers were fine taking him on without anything being resolved, criminal side or civil side. But he wouldn't waive his no-trade clause to go to Carolina. He wanted to go to Miami. Well, Miami would only take him if he settled the 22 civil cases. Mm-hmm. And Miami believed, I'm told, that if he settled the 22 civil cases, he was looking at a suspension of roughly 6 games. So if he settles the cases at some point down the road, maybe he knows he's walking into a suspension. Right. He has to ask himself, how hard do I want to fight this? And he'll learn a lot about it tomorrow, Mike, because tomorrow he gets his introduction into what it's going to be like. And he will make a record of testimony that he will not be able to wash off. This is a tattoo on his testimony at trial. He's locking into a story. And if it doesn't go well, that more likely leads to a settlement. And I think the NFL should want to look at the transcript of the testimony from tomorrow. I think any team interested in him should want to look at the transcript of his testimony tomorrow before anyone makes any decisions about what they do with Deshaun Watson. It's too close in time to not want to see what's there. So it's all to be determined, but the league has learned the hard way in the past to not do anything until they absolutely positively have to. And that may mean they'll kick the can and he'll play this year, assuming that the cases don't get resolved before the start of the season.
So one thing I'll ask one more on you before we leave this. So if he is traded for, is he still a 2 to 3 first-round pick trade?
Well, everything I've heard indicates the Texans continue to want a very high price for Deshaun Watson. And what I've said all along is, job number one, and maybe this is what's going on. This is the method to the madness. Job number one, find out all the teams that are interested in Deshaun Watson. Job number two, find out all the teams that Deshaun Watson is interested in playing for. So you carve it down to 2 or 3 or 4, who knows. Then start your bidding. Let's see who's going to offer the best package for the Houston Texans. Because the Texans don't have the leverage of, screw it, we'll just keep him. Last year their attitude was, you give us what we want, or screw it, we'll just keep him. And that's very powerful leverage if you can sell it. Mike, there's no way they can sell it this year.
No.
He's got a $35 million fully guaranteed salary this year. Last year it was 10. This year it's 3.5 times that amount. And you've got the head coach, Lovie Smith, who has publicly said multiple times this month, boy, I really want to get this resolved. Yeah. You get $24 million in cap space like that. You remove a major distraction for the locker room and the organization like that. At some point, you got to do the best deal you can. And I think if it's 2 teams, 3 teams, whatever, that's when the Texans basically have an auction for the Deshaun Watson contract.
Yeah, I guess that's what it would be. If it's at least 2 teams, and like you said, maybe 3, then you can get more. Obviously, if it's not, everybody knows that Texans want to get rid of him. So if you only had 1 team after him, they're going to offer you dirt, basically for him or get as least amount as they can. But with multiple teams, then you're right. Then it's just, okay, boys, let me see what your bids are, and let's, we got the prices right going on here, and we'll see what we let him go for. Because as much as Deshaun, I'm sure, wants to restart his career somewhere else, the Houston Texans want him gone.
My gut feeling is, and I see there's a report that Deshaun Watson will be meeting with the Saints and the Panthers in Houston tonight, and my advice as his lawyer would be focus on tomorrow. Unless that deposition's been postponed and I don't know about it, don't meet with the Saints and Panthers tonight. Focus on tomorrow. Anyway, I think the Eagles are going to get involved at some point, and if I was Deshaun Watson, if I was Deshaun Watson, I think that's the team I want to go to. Stability in the coaching staff, just made it to the playoffs, good offensive line, good defense, good supporting cast, weak division, weak conference. That would be my first choice if I were him.
That's not a bad one there. Of the three we're talking about, the Saints, Carolina, and Philly, I would definitely go there, much to the dismay of Jalen Hurts. That would be happening. But, yes, that's a team I would go to. We'll see where Washington goes, and the Giants aren't going to be anywhere. I don't think Washington, what are they going to do, with their new quarterback situation? And the Cowboys, I'm still kind of head scratching. I know the money thing with Amari Cooper, but wow. And I know he's been off the field some. But you signed Gallup for a lot of money. You tagged Schultz, I believe, your tight end, and you got rid of Amari Cooper because it was too expensive for you. That was an interesting one to me. So I agree. I think Philly could be right in that division. And of those three teams we're talking about, that's where I would go.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.